Good morning on this special day. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you to Miss Allen and her class for putting together this ceremony, and special thanks to those in attendance that were either here as a veteran, supporting a veteran, or you're a current military service individual. Today we honor our veterans, especially the 325,574 of the 16 million Americans who served in World War II that are still alive in 2020, and 31,000 that are still alive in Florida. Those individuals are certainly the greatest generation of Americans. And the 2.2 million Americans out of the 5 million that served that are still alive from the Korean War, and the 750,000 Americans out of 3 million that are still alive from the Vietnam War. We also honor those 900,000 military individuals that served in Operation Desert Storm, and those from Operation Iraqi Freedom, the 1.9 million since 2001. And of course, let us never forget our current military men and women that are protecting us today. Our community is really special in regards to our veterans, and we should all be thankful that we are home to the Federal Veterans Administration Hospital, which has both a nursing home and a medical center to help care for over 400 individuals each and every day of the year. On December 6th of this year, it will mark the 100th anniversary of the Veterans Hospital opening in Lake City. This ground we're having the ceremony is also very special for veterans and all of us. Where we now stand as Florida Gateway College was originally from 1942 to 1945, the Lake City Naval Station Base, which was home for 223 officers and 1,250 enlisted individuals each year to help train in aviation. I wonder how many of those individuals went through this land to serve and die for our freedom. Indeed, our campus is currently open for veterans to earn their degrees, but we should never forget those who served on this land and for those thousands of veterans who enrolled and graduated at FGC. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless our veterans. I'd like to now introduce Carlene Nelson, who will sing the national anthem. Carly is from Baker County.
Please stand. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
You can now be seated. Good morning. Today, we will be honoring those men and women who have served this country in our times of war, conflict, and peace. Students from speech communication classes will be sharing a variety of readings today that will highlight some of the goals, talents, struggles, and successes of our veterans. Each reading honors all the grandfathers, fathers, moms, daughters, and wives who have served by sharing their stories. These veterans represent the 50 unique states that make up the United States of America and represent the best in all of us. Reading today will be Dallas Frierson from Suwannee County, O'Neill Wiggins from Columbia County, myself, Billy Martin from Baker County, Sierra McLean from Columbia County, Cody Bennett from Baker County, and lastly, Zach Diggs from Columbia County. Thank you.
World War I, known as the Great War, officially ended when the Treaty of Versailles was signed on June 28, 1919, in the Palace of Versailles, outside the town of Versailles, France. However, fighting ceased 7 months earlier when an armistice, or temporary cessation of hostilities between the Allied nations and Germany, went into effect on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. For that reason, November 11, 1918, is generally regarded as the end of the war to end all wars. An act approved on May 13, 1938, and signed by President Woodrow Wilson made the 11th of November in each year a legal holiday, a day to be dedicated to the cause of world peace and to be therefore celebrated and known as Armistice Day. Armistice Day was primarily a day set aside to honor veterans of World War I. However, in 1954, after World War II had required the greatest mobilization of soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen in the nation's history, after American forces had fought aggressions in Korea, the 83rd Congress, at the urging of the Veteran Service Organizations, amended the Act of 1938 by striking out the words armistice and inserting in its place the words veterans. With the approval of this legislation, on June 1, 1954, President Dwight Eisenhower, November 11th became a day to honor American veterans of all wars. Veterans Day continues to be observed on November 11th, regardless of what day on the week it falls. The observance of Veterans Day on November 11th not only preserves its historical significance of the date, but helps focus attention on the important purposes of Veterans Day, a celebration to honor America's veterans for their patriotism, love of country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good.
I'd like to share with you two stories of brave individuals who earned the Medal of Honor as a result of their service during the Civil War. The first story is about William Harvey Carney. Carney was the first African American awarded with the Medal of Honor. He was born a slave in Virginia, but eventually made his way to freedom in Massachusetts. When the Union Army began accepting volunteers, he joined the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment, the first African American unit organized by northern states. The 54th Infantry Regiment was led by Robert Gould Shaw, was tasked with taking Fort Wagner, a beachland fortification that guarded the southern approach to Charleston Harbor. A previous attack on the fort had failed, but the 54th was chosen for the next attempt. As the soldiers stormed the fort walls, the Union flag bearer was killed. Carney grabbed the flag and held it for the duration of the battle. Carney, along with the 54th, was forced to retreat during the battle with Kearney. During the battle, Kearney never lost possession of the flag, despite suffering multiple injuries. Boys, I did my duty. The flag never touched the ground, he said after the battle. Kearney was awarded the Medal of Honor in 1900. The second story I have to tell you is about Mary Edwards Walker. Mary Edwards Walker is the first and only female recipient of the Medal of Honor in U.S. history. She was an abolitionist and medical doctor who tried to join the Union Army as a surgeon, but was unable to because she was a woman. She declined to work as a nurse and instead accepted an unpaid volunteer position at medical hospitals on the front line. In 1863, she was finally allowed to work as a contract acting assistant surgeon, and wore a modified uniform of her own design that looked like a man's. During her service, she devoted herself with much patriotic zeal to the wounded and sick, both in the field and hospitals. She was captured by the Confederates, but released in a prisoner's exchange. Major Generals William T. Sherman and George H. Thomas both commended her for her service, and President Andrew Johnson awarded her the Medal of Honor in 1865. Her award was temporarily resignated in 1917 after it was determined that it was unwarranted because of her status as a civilian. She refused to give her medal back and wore it every day until her death in 1919. President Jimmy Carter reinstated Walker's medal in 1977.
I will now be sharing a poem titled, "It's the Veteran," by an unknown author. It is the veteran, not the preacher, who has given us religious freedom of religion. It is the veteran, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of press. It is the veteran, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the veteran, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to assemble. It is the veteran, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial. It is the veteran, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote. Thank you.
Today, I will be sharing with you a short story by Joanne Berta, Why I Took Off My Prisoner of War and Missing in Action Bracelet After 44 Years. In 1972, when I was a student at Bowling Green State University in Ohio, a small ad in the BG News offered the chance to buy a prisoner of war and missing in action bracelet. The going price at the time? $4. I bought 2. The bracelets arrived in a small package. I sent one to my sister Janet and put the other on my right wrist. Mine was engraved with the name Captain Charles Bifolchi, later promoted to Major, and the date he went missing in Vietnam, January 8th, 1968. Thus began a 44-year relationship with a man I have never met. Bifolchi's mom sent me a letter telling me about her son. He was from Quincy, Massachusetts. He was 25 years old when his plane went down. She enclosed a newspaper clipping bearing a grainy photo of a young man she prayed for every day. I wrote back and promised I would wear that bracelet until he came home. Captain Bifolchi became part of my life. I wondered if he were still alive. I wondered if he would ever come home. From time to time, I would look at the bracelet and talk to him. I envied my sister when she watched the soldier whose name was on her bracelet walk off the plane of returning prisoners of war. As decades passed, people would notice the bracelet and ask, "Are you ever going to take that off?" Others would ask if I knew him and then say, "Why would you still wear it?" The answer was always easy. I owed him that much. I promised his mother. I wanted to make sure that he was remembered, thought about. For many years, I scanned newspaper articles on the recovery of remains in Vietnam, but the names never matched the one on my bracelet. When the internet arrived, finding information became easier. I found information, comments from people who knew him, but no news. I waited and hoped. In March 2016, my spouse came home and handed me a sheet of paper. "They found him," she said. It was a press release dated October 26, 2006. I had missed it. He had been home for 10 years. On October 27, 2006, Charles Bufalchi was buried at Arlington National Cemetery with full military honors. It would have been his 63rd birthday. It was time for me to say goodbye. It was hot and humid day when I took a cab to Arlington. I walked along Eisenhower Boulevard, searching for Section 66, grave 6820-2. After a bit of searching, I found the white stone that bears his name. I introduced myself and apologized for taking so long to come. I told him about the bracelet and the promise I made to his mother. It didn't seem odd for me to just stand there and talk to him. I'd been doing it for most of my life. I knelt before his headstone, took the bracelet off my wrist, laid it to rest, and said my final words to Charles Bufalchi. I know he heard me.
Today I will be sharing a personal experience from you. My papa, George W. Wayne Harris of Union County. He went to school there in Union County when he was in high school, and he graduated at the age of 18. The first thing that he did when he graduated, he enlisted in the Army. He was in World War II and the Vietnam War. He was a participant of both. He is always someone that I run to when I have a problem or anything that I just need. He is a public figure for me, as he is for many in Union County. Tomorrow, we will be celebrating you and my papa, the people who are brave for us and the people who will step aside and do the things that other people won't. So as I say, tomorrow we are respecting veterans. Today, we are respecting you.
While American servicemen and women serve tirelessly, it is never for selfish glory, but out of desire to help preserve freedom and provide help for those who are in need. The two following short excerpts highlight those goals. When in England at a fairly large conference, General Colin Powell was asked by the Archbishop of Canterbury if our plans for Iraq were just an example of empire building by George Bush. He answered by saying, "Over the years, the United States has sent many of its fine young men and women into great peril to fight for freedom beyond our borders. The only amount of land we asked in return is enough to bury those that did not return." You could have heard a pin drop. There was another conference in France where a number of international engineers were taking part, including French and American. During a break, one of the French engineers came back into the room and said, "Have you heard the latest dumb stunt Bush has done? He has sent an aircraft carrier to Indonesia to help the tsunami victims. What does he intend to do? Bomb them?" A Boeing engineer stood up and replied quietly, Our carriers have 3 hospitals on board that can treat several hundred people. They are nuclear powered and can supply emergency electrical power to shore facilities. They have 3 cafeterias with the capacity to feed 3,000 people 3 meals a day. They can produce several 100,000 gallons of fresh water from the sea each day. And they carry half a dozen helicopters for use in transporting victims and injured to and from their flight deck. We have 11 such ships. How many do the French have? May we always honor the past and present service of veterans, bringing relief to those at home and abroad.
At this time, we would like to ask all veterans from all branches of the military to step forward and face the audience so that we might thank you. Thank you to all of our veterans for serving, and thank you for all of your coming today to honor them. I'd like to end with this quote from Claudia Pendleton. America without her soldiers would be like God without his angels. There is nothing nobler than risking your life for your country. I have long believed that sacrifice is the pinnacle of patriotism. This motion will remain the land of the free only so long as it is the home of the brave. Thank you. Once again, thank you all for coming out today and listening to us. And once again, thank you, veterans, for your service. Now, we can go enjoy this wonderful day we have been gifted with. Thank you.